Welcome to Below the Line with Dr. Bennie L. Harris. The Chancellor of the University of South Carolina Upstate talks with top leaders about issues such as change, technology, education, and leadership. Please enjoy.
Good afternoon. I'm here with Ambassador Andrew Young. He's joining me on my Below the Line podcast. Ambassador Young, who served as Atlanta mayor and the United Nations ambassador. This is an honor. He's a human rights pioneer, a leader. It's just an honor to be able to sit with you, Ambassador, and talk with you about leadership and some of your experiences as well. Let's start from the beginning. So you were born in New Orleans, and can you tell me a little about your upbringing and what it was like and that informed the man you are today?
Well, I almost formed the man I am today on the same block.
Okay.
Because I was born in 1932. That was the beginning of the recession and depression, so it was a poor neighborhood, but not a poverty-stricken neighborhood. We owned a little house, and my father was a dentist, and he had a dental office there. My mother was a teacher.
Okay.
And there was an Irish grocery store on one corner, an Italian bar on the next. The Nazi Party was on the third corner, and Chevrolet dealership around the fourth corner. Mm-hmm. And my brother and I, there were 3 black families in the block, but we were the only black children.
Okay.
So I had learned about nonviolence when I was 4 years old. My daddy always said, don't get mad, get smart. If you lose your temper in a fight, you're going to lose the fight.
Okay.
He said, your mind is the most powerful weapon you have. And he took me to a segregated theater to see Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics.
Okay.
And the point that he wanted me to see was that when Hitler walked out on Jesse Owens, rather than give him his medal that he'd won, Jesse Owens was cool and didn't react to it at all. He had 3 more races to run, and he just stayed cool, and he won all 4 gold medals. Mm-hmm. And his motto was, he was a little guy, 5'4", and he said, look, you're never going to beat everybody in a fight, but you can outthink anybody if you let your mind lead you. And he said, don't get mad, get smart. When you get angry, the blood rushes from your head to your fist and your feet. And he said, you're probably not going to be big enough to beat anybody, and you won't feel good if you run from a fight.
Okay.
So stay in the fight, but let your mind lead you.
Yeah. So I can see how that would shape you. So there's a lot of discussion today about the value of education. And your father was a dentist, your mother an educator, you're educated. How did your experience help you to develop as a leader?
Well, for one, there were books all around, and it rained a lot in New Orleans, and we didn't have television, and we didn't have cell phones, and so on rainy days, I'd pull a book off the shelf, and we had encyclopedias, and I'd look up something and read about it.
Okay.
And it's, well, in that time, but it changed by the time I was in high school, though. Yeah. We started to get, listening to radio. I took life as it came, and I think the blessing was that my mother and my father both were active church people.
Okay.
And so we went to Sunday school every Sunday and church every Sunday. And we went to prayer meeting Wednesday night.
Okay. So you're an ordained minister as well, right?
But my mother and father were just good church people.
Okay.
And they took me to church, and I accidentally became ordained. I didn't start out that way.
Okay.
And I never thought of myself as wanting to be a pastor. But coming back from Howard, I knew I went to Howard young.
Yeah.
And 15. And
15 years old?
And then I was coming back with a college degree at 19 and stopped not far from where you all are, up in right on the South Carolina, North Carolina line at Kings Mountain.
Okay.
And I ran up that mountain. I'd been on Howard's track team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in good shape, but I was running out of despair because I had a college degree and I didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do with it.
Okay, that's interesting.
And running up that mountain, when I got there, I was exhausted because when you're running in the mountains, you're never running flat. You're running up and down. I was running downhill too fast and then ran up the mountain and almost passed out. But when I came to my senses, everything looked clear.
Okay.
I mean, everything was like it was perfect. The green trees and the yellow cornfields and the blue skies, everything seemed perfect except me.
Okay.
And I said, if everything else has got a purpose, whoever made all this must have made some purpose for me.
Okay.
And on the way down, you have to walk down. Can't run down a mountain. And I was climbing down the mountain, and it suddenly hit me that if I see anything that needs doing and there's nobody else to do it, that's my calling.
Okay. Send me.
And that's where they got the idea that I would do the dirty work.
Okay.
Because I said, if it's something that nobody else wants to do, and I'm there and can do it. Now, that's not, Martin Luther King, I learned later,
Okay.
was in the back room running the mimeograph machine.
Okay.
And he was not even in the meeting when they planned the Montgomery bus boycott. And two preachers got into an argument, and the women said, why don't we give this young man a chance? And they got him out of the back from running the mimeograph machine, doing the dirty work, and asked him to chair that meeting, which set him up as as the spiritual leader of our nation, really.
It's just being open to the calling, to whatever it is.
Whatever
for me
it
to do.
is that if it needs doing and nobody wants to do it,
You're doing.
I'll do it.
So you were 19 years old, getting your degree from Howard. You have this experience, this epiphany, that this is where you're going to go, wherever God leads you, whatever the dirty work is, whatever the work is. Mm-hmm. How does that take you from there to finding these leadership roles as a congressman and as a mayor? And
well, one, nobody wanted to work with Martin Luther King. He was broke.
Uh-huh.
He had been run out. He'd been stabbed.
Yeah.
They'd bombed his house. He'd been jailed for nothing. And we didn't know where he was for 3 or 4 days. And I was there.
Okay.
And the thing that got me started was my wife was from Marion, Alabama.
Okay.
Which is a little town that Coretta's from, and Juanita Abernathy was from the same town.
Okay.
All three of us had wives from the same region. And our wives were committed to the South. I was in New York, had bought a home, and we saw the Nashville sit-in story, and my wife said, I'm ready to go home.
Wow.
And I said, we just bought this house. She said, yeah, but this is New York. New York can never be my home. I said, well, where are you going? She said, I'm going down there where they are dealing with the world in which we live.
So you all had watched that from afar.
Yeah.
And she knew that she needed to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, she grew up in that little town, and she went to Church of the Brethren school,
Okay.
where she had to take a required course in New Testament nonviolence.
Okay.
So she was much more knowledgeable at that point than I was.
Okay.
I'd been to seminary, and I kind of had Quakers, and the first person I heard speak in my seminary was Byron Rustin,
Okay.
and he talked about nonviolence, and I'll never forget first place, he was a black man speaking, and he and I were only two black folks in that school at that time. And he said something about repentance need not be multilateral.
Okay.
I said, what is this brother talking about? Where did he get all this bull from? And then I thought about it, that you don't need to wait till your enemy becomes nonviolent. You become nonviolent. You take the lead in resolving a conflict. Don't wait for somebody else to be the good guy.
So you have to own it.
You have to own it.
This is your. So you were a key strategist and negotiator during the Civil Rights campaign that led to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And you also serve as executive director for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Can you talk about those experiences and what you learned from it, and how you applied that to your life? What you learned from those
I got those experiences because, there were 60-some bombings of people's homes in and around Birmingham, Alabama, in 1961 and 62. Now, we were right here in Atlanta, and we didn't know it. They didn't get in the newspapers. It didn't get in wasn't that much television then. Yeah. But when Fred Shuttlesworth came and showed us the pictures of them bombing his church and his house, the bombing hit from his church and reflected on his house, and the roof came down, and he was in there. And they thought he was dead, and he crawled out and had on a shirt and tie and said, "They can't kill me." So we're going to change this city. And he came over to Atlanta, and that's where the dirty work, when Martin said that we will come over and help you, but we can't do it now. It's Christmas time, and then you got an election right after Christmas. So it'd probably be February before we can get over there. And he turned to me and he said, "Andy, do you know any white folks in Birmingham?" I said, "I don't know any black folk in Birmingham." I said, "I'm from New Orleans, and my wife's from Marion, Alabama. That's 90 miles from Birmingham. And I don't think I've even been there." He said, "Well, you got at least a month to get to know some." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, if we're going to go there and start a movement, somebody has to go and prepare the white community before we do it."
So was this Martin Luther King talking to you at the time? Okay.
And so I got the job of going in first. And I had been to a conference in Michigan, and I'd met some folk from Birmingham in the Michigan conference. They were Episcopalians.
Okay.
So I called the Episcopal Diocesan House, and fortunately, the people that I met answered the phone.
Okay.
And the lady said that she remembered meeting me, and that if I wanted to see the bishop, she would set up the meeting. And I started with the Episcopal bishop.
Okay.
And I asked him to meet with Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy and Reverend Shuttlesworth, and they explained to him what a movement entails. Yeah. And a movement contains, one, if we don't like what's going on, we have to withdraw our support from it.
Okay.
And so we decided right off that as long as there was this tension and bombing and things like that, we were not going to spend any money on any white business.
Okay.
That we would only buy food and medicine for at least 90 days. And there were 80,000 to 90,000 people, black folk in Birmingham. It wasn't a super city, but it was a big, black folk were a big part of the economy. And so if black folks stopped buying anything but food and medicine for 90 days, the town went out of business.
So what I know about the movement in that time, that part I never knew about in terms of the strategy around withdrawing. Now, the bus boycott, you learn about that, but you're withdrawing leveraging your economic power to change things.
But the bus boycott was the first attempt at it, but they started to say that they were just going to withdraw from the bus for one day.
Yeah.
And it ended up going on for 381 days. Yeah. We decided we were not just going to withdraw from the bus, we were going to withdraw from the whole white-owned economy.
Okay.
And
this was after the bombing in Birmingham and
yeah.
Okay.
After almost 2 years of bombings in Birmingham, there were more than 60 bombings, and Fred Shuttlesworth's home had been bombed.
Right.
His church had been bombed 3 times, but this was the most damaging one. And but that's what started the movement. But I went to meet with the bishop of the Episcopal Church, and he and Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy and Reverend Shuttlesworth met after that. I got him to agree to bring some of the business community together. So he brought the owners of the big department stores and hotels and the economic power structure of Birmingham to meet with the black community.
So what were you learning about yourself during this time? Because you're still relatively young.
I didn't think of myself as young.
Okay.
I mean, I always thought, I don't know, I was raised to be confident.
Okay.
My dad, as a dentist, with the Nazi party on the corner, and most of the dental supply people who happened to be Jewish, they were always talking about what Hitler was doing in Germany. And I'm sitting around. And so I never felt like I was, well, I mean, I always felt like I was in charge, that I had to take charge.
Yeah.
And I was living in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Okay.
All the kids were white. But I went to school in an all-black school.
Okay.
But there again, I was out of place. Mainly because I was the only one that had lunch money. See, and you had to pay a quarter for lunch or something like that. And I didn't like the lunch at school.
Okay.
I didn't want to pay the quarter, so I'd get a couple of others. You could get, you could turn in Coca-Cola bottles or sell newspapers or coat hangers. Yeah. Everybody had a little hustle. And so we'd put our pennies together and we'd go across the street, and with my quarter and another 5 or 10 cents that others could scrape up, we could buy a nickel's worth of cheese and a nickel's worth of bologna and a loaf of bread for 10 cents. And if we had a little more, you could get a big moon pie for a nickel, and you break that in 3 or 4 pieces.
So just kind of breaking bread and just
really. And but that put me in a leadership role unconsciously. I wasn't conscious of leading. I just didn't. Well, it was this: either I was going to share my lunch money, or somebody was going to beat me up and take it. So I learned that it was easier to share.
Yeah. So, Ambassador Young, you once said, there can be no democracy without truth. There can be no truth without controversy. There can be no change without freedom. Without freedom, there can be no progress. Do these words still ring true for you?
They sure do. I don't remember where they came from, but it sounds like something I would have said.
So when you reflect upon them and you reflect on...
That freedom requires a struggle.
Yeah.
And freedom requires struggle in the direction of truth.
Okay.
You know, I always went to Sunday school. Truth forever on the scaffold. Wrong forever on the throne.
Right.
But the scaffold sways the future, for behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadows, keeping watch above his own. I learned that in Sunday school before I started hearing Martin Luther King say it.
Yeah.
As he learned it in Sunday school. And there are many other things that he brought to me that I, like, truth crushed to earth will rise again. See? And another one, I don't know where it came from, but that evil cannot permanently organize. It has within its own being the seeds of its destruction.
Yeah.
See? And that in this time when the country's pretty confused and pretty, well, we're lost right now. I still hang on to those phrases that we learned from segregation.
Yeah. So when you look at the landscape today, are you surprised by what you see? Are you hopeful that there will be an awakening or?
Well, I'm not surprised, but I don't get, I'm not in despair over it.
Yeah.
One, we messed up because it was too easy.
Okay.
I mean, we've had 9 black mayors in a row here in Atlanta. In 1972, I was the first one to get elected to Congress.
Okay.
Maynard was elected mayor in 73. I mean, I ran for Congress because nobody else wanted to run. And because I started in 70, but see, Martin Luther King had been killed in 68.
Okay.
Medgar Evers had been killed. Malcolm X had been killed. I mean, it was not. I mean, this was not an easy job. It wasn't a job for somebody who was looking for a good life.
Right.
It was a job for somebody who was willing to, who wanted to take on the troubles of the world. And I guess I had learned by that time, and I'd sort of, well, even in college, in the fraternity, when, you know, they wanted me to drink a half pint of liquor to prove I was a man, I said,
I know what you said.
Yeah. And fortunately, David Dinkins was the one in charge, and he said, well, if you don't do that, you have to run around the lake reservoir, which was about 6 miles back then. Well, that was no problem for me. See, I can run 6 miles and don't even sweat hardly. And I was 18 then. Okay. And so it was, I mean, I never, but I knew I wasn't going to drink. See? And
so you had values that you just were not going to compromise.
Well, yeah. And my daddy never drank. My daddy never smoked. My mother nor my father. And it was not that it was religious. It was just that this isn't good for your health.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 93 now.
That's a blessing.
And I'm not ailing, really, except where I ran down 16 flights of steps and messed up my knee. Yeah. But, you know, I always tried to live what I thought to be a good life.
Well, let's talk about as you're an ambassador. In 1977, you negotiated an end to the white minority rule in Namibia and Zimbabwe. So you've been a negotiator for your whole career, seems like, ever since you've been. And what makes for a good negotiator? What makes for one who Martin Luther King would send you out first to go and?
Well, one, I respect everybody.
Okay.
And I respect my enemies, see, and my adversaries. And I know that they have a reason why they feel bad about me,
Okay.
if they feel bad about me. But maybe they just felt bad. Most of the people in the movement and in Africa, I went to South Africa before, while Mandela was still in jail. And you'll excuse the expression, they didn't want me. Nobody in the State Department wanted me to talk to the white folks. And I said, why not? I said, you got to talk to them sooner. I said, no, we don't bother with them. I said, well, who's the meanest son of a bitch you know? And they told me, and I said, call him. I said, you have his number? And I called him, and I said, excuse me, sir, but this was Jimmy Carter. I said, Jimmy Carter asked me to visit Africa and to meet as many African leaders as possible. And I said, you certainly are the leader here, and I'd like to drop by and get to know you. And he said, how many people with you? And I said, well, I could bring the ambassador with me, or I could come alone. He said, you come.
Okay.
And so I just went down to his office by myself and walked in. And what I found out was that he had a film that had been made about my election, but it was 4 years earlier then. And he had studied the election of me getting to Congress. And this was after I left Congress and was now ambassador to the United Nations. But he asked me, the sentence that, trying to remember the order. First question he asked was, how much intermarriage you have in Atlanta? I said, well, we have some, but...
My interracial marriage is probably right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interracial marriage. And I said, we have some, but I said, actually, I've seen more mixed race couples around South Africa than I see in Atlanta. And he asked me, also, the one that got me was, how long do you think we have before the bloodbath? I said, what bloodbath? He said, surely these black people are going to rise up one day and kill us all. And I said, I don't think so. And he jumped up, how can you say that? I said, I can say that because I've never heard in all of my travels all over Africa and in the United States and in Europe, I've never heard anybody talk about killing all the white people. I said, first place is stupid. We're not going to be able to do that. I said, but we can learn to live together as brothers. And he grunted. And I said, in fact, that's the reason I came to see you. I said, President Carter grew up in Georgia. In the county he grew up in was 70% black, see? And he has lived all of his life with black people just like you have. And I said, but he has worked out a way that he's always had black friends. He's always, first when he became governor, the first thing he said was, segregation is dead in Georgia. And I said, he's moved toward bringing us together. I said, That's why he is willing to work with you. When you're ready to have a multiracial democracy, I said, the United States will put its full weight and support behind the success of this. I said, that's why he asked me to come see you. And I said, and I gave him the note and the phone number. And I said, you call him personally, and he will arrange to personally. Well, it happened. And Jimmy Carter didn't do it, but Walter Mondale arranged a series of meetings to talk about Mandela getting out of jail and talk about ending apartheid. And it was not just conversation, because Nigeria knew these conversations were going on. And when they slowed down a little bit, Nigerian oil was being taken to South Africa against the wishes of the Nigerian people. And so they cut off all oil supply. And that got Britain and France involved. And before long, we had a committee of nations meeting with the South Africans, planning to get Mandela out of jail, move toward free and fair elections. And Mandela had been in jail 34 years.
Yeah. So these are some of the same principles that were employed during the Civil Rights Movement.
Well, they were all the same principles. Yeah. All the same principles, and it worked for us. And I said, I don't think there's anybody that I know in the South that would want to go back to the way things were.
Yeah. The thing that I think about, this is primarily a leadership podcast where we look at real issues and many of the issues that you led and continue to lead today. So as a two-term mayor of Atlanta, you brought in more than 1,100 businesses, more than $70 billion in foreign direct investments, and you generated more than 1 million jobs. So what kind of qualities a leader must have to make that kind of sweeping change? And
you pick up the phone or you knock on the door.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't set out to do that. When I went to Congress, and I don't know why, but they selected me and Sam Nunn, who was a senator from Georgia, and we both got elected in 1972, and we were selected to go to Japan to meet with the Japanese Diet, the Congress in Japan. And sitting around there, I got to see that Japan was booming.
Yeah.
They were booming because the United States had helped them after the Second World War. And so I went back realizing that Japan's industry was going to be expanding. And so when I became mayor, one of the first things I did was go to Coca-Cola. And I said, you all are strong in Japan. Can you pull together some of the Japanese businesses that are ready to expand and are looking for some place to go?
Okay.
And let me meet with them. And they pulled together several meetings. They pulled a meeting of all the car companies that they thought were ready to go, the telephone and telegraph and high-tech companies that were developing. I think Canon was one of their companies, and Panasonic also came from Japan. And I met with over 100 businesses in 2 days, in groups, the automobiles, the banks, the high-tech companies, beauty supplies, and extended them an invitation to come to Atlanta. We were also building what is now the world's busiest airport.
Yeah.
And we built that with Maynard Jackson as the mayor starting it. But We didn't we didn't build it with taxpayer money. We went to Wall Street.
Okay.
And we borrowed the money, and I think we borrowed more than 60-some billion dollars. And we paid it back, and we got a AAA bond rating. So it was a very good deal. But we used the private sector business to grow our city and to attract new business. And so we were less than 1 million people then, and we're probably closer to 7 or 8 million now.
So we look at that model from leading the city, leading in Congress, and you've seen these wonderful examples of leadership. Atlanta is a textbook model for it. Why aren't other cities emulating that?
Other cities aren't pushing to meet with their own neighbors.
Okay.
I mean, they still kind of want to stay to themselves. They don't want to. I mean, the thing about Atlanta was, and probably Coca-Cola helped us.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola wanted to be a global company.
Mm-hmm.
And when the business community at first, when Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize,
Yeah.
they wanted to boycott the dinner we was having for him. And Coca-Cola called a meeting and got all the business community, said, look, we can't stay in a community that boycotts a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He said, Coca-Cola can move anywhere in the world. If you want Coca-Cola in Atlanta, you got to act like we are acting all over the world.
Yeah.
And that sort of set the stage. But they followed it with local action, see? The head of the Coca-Cola Foundation asked Daddy King, Martin Luther King's father,
Okay.
and Calvin Craig, the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, to sit with him on an economic opportunity Atlanta program that was doing a block-by-block study of the city of Atlanta and trying to find ways to end poverty. So that a lot of things are going on at a lot of levels.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've won several awards, honorary. You've gotten more than 100 from 100 different universities,
But you
honorary
know one
degrees. Tell me.
That when I took the SAT in New Orleans, I didn't get accepted to a single college I applied to. Now, later on, the president of Spelman went to head the educational testing service, and I asked him, I said, can you see how dumb I was? I didn't get accepted to any school after I took that exam. And he couldn't find it. And then I remembered that I took the SAT in a gymnasium with 1,000 white folk and me. And they probably threw mine away. Because I have honorary degrees from maybe a dozen or so of the schools that
you're glad to.
that rejected me.
Yeah.
Or didn't even answer my attempt to get in.
Yeah. So you have the Andrew Young Foundation to continue the legacy and the work that is so important to you. Talk to me about the foundation a little bit.
Well, when I turned 75,
You're supposed to be retiring at 75. What happened?
well, but not really.
Okay.
That's a man-made idea. For me, I started saying, when I turn 75, I better think about how I'm going to get to heaven. And Jesus said, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, heal the sick, and set at liberty those who are oppressed. The 25th chapter of Matthew is basically a paragraph or so that kind of spells out the pathway to heaven.
Right.
And so that's what we did with the foundation. But it wasn't just feed the hungry like giving somebody a quarter for a ham sandwich or something, or $1 for a ham sandwich, or give them free food. It was, how are we going to feed the children of earth?
Okay.
And I was still traveling. I was working with an engineering firm as a consultant. And I went to Uganda, and they were having problems with the dam at the beginning of the Nile. In fact, it had shut down.
Okay.
And I was with the engineering firm that was trying to fix it. So I ended up having to go down in this dam, and we found at the bottom of the dam and growing up it had about 10 big generators. But there was this little vine they called duckweed.
Okay.
It was little bitty leaves, but it grows, it doubles its weight every day. And it had grown into this dam. This is one of the largest dams in Africa, and these little bitty leaves were growing so fast they choked it. It shut it down. And they couldn't poison them because that's the beginning of the Nile, and all of North Africa depends on getting water from there. So they have to go in there and pull it down. Well, they were cussing because it's hot down in there. And I was down in there and had just, I think, beat a battle with malaria, but I wasn't sure I had won. But everybody was cussing and fussing because they had to do this dirty work. But I started thinking, God must have put this on earth for some purpose. And so when we came back, I started studying it. And we found some people over in Louisiana that were cooking it.
Okay.
See? And they were trying to make jet fuel out of this. And President Carter had written some people about how are we going to, get fuel he was trying to make fuel out of it. And it makes 150%, 50 proof alcohol out of, if you cook it. Well, we took the ashes and we studied the ashes. We sent them to be studied. And we found that 57% of that ashes are protein.
Okay.
See, and that it had all of the 18 essential amino acids to any food. So we've been trying to figure out how to grow this duckweed in such a way that you can turn it into food. And we bought some land out in California and found a still, but at the same time, I had found that, let's see, how did I? Well, we also are growing food and water.
Right, aquaponics.
Aquaponics. Yeah. And we have on a 1 acre land, we can get a crop every 23 days growing it in water. And you use the same water over and over again, but you don't have outside fertilizer. You have, in our 1 acre plant, we have 16 50-gallon tanks of fish. And the fish waste goes out and we purify it and just send the vitamins and minerals into a table about this size. That's all kinds of vegetables are growing on it.
Yeah.
And you can grow a head of lettuce in a month, about 23 days. See? Or you can grow a stalk of spinach. And you can get 10,000 pounds of food.
So how prevalent is this usage today? How prevalent is the usage today to get food to create?
Well, we just starting. We built a plant.
Okay.
We have a couple of places in the United States, but nobody's done much with aquaponics.
Okay.
And it took us a little money to get started, but the fish poops in the water, and that's purified, and that goes purely into the greens. And the greens are laden with all of the essential minerals that you need to eat.
Okay.
And we had one about, well, just about the size of this room over at the Y, where 10, 12 years ago, we were using it as a demonstration and letting 6-year-olds in our nursery plant their own spinach.
I think Virginia Floyd, I believe, when I was at Morehouse School of Medicine, was sharing much of that with me as well. I have a question about, do you have a hero? I'm sure that you are many people's heroes.
I have a lot of heroes.
Talk to them about a couple of them.
Well, you know, I start with I think my first hero was Jesse Owens.
Okay.
And then I went through a series of sports heroes, Joe Louis, Jackie Robinson, you know, and Thurgood Marshall became one of my heroes because my 6th grade teacher took us to the federal courtroom, and I watched this tall, skinny black man run a court rope. I mean, he was arguing a case for equal salaries for teachers, and didn't know what he was saying, but I watched the way he handled that courtroom, and he would call a case, cite a case, and then the clerk of the court would go out the back to the library to get the book, and when he came back in with the book, Thurgood would say, "Your Honor, I think you find that on page 275 in the upper right-hand corner of the page." And I said, "Damn, this brother's got it together." and I mean, I was 10 years old.
So, Ambassador Young, as we come to the close, I want you to reflect upon your legacy. What do you want your legacy? What do you see your legacy as?
Well, I don't know, and I don't think a legacy. You know,
Okay.
I think. Well, I just hope that what I have learned doesn't die with me.
Okay.
And but you know, I wouldn't listen to my father, and he wouldn't listen to his father. You know, his father was a businessman, and I still don't know how, but my grandfather was born just before the Civil War.
Okay.
But by the time he got to, in the 1860s, but by the time he got to 1900, when my daddy was born, he had 5 burial societies. I mean, he had $5 million in a bank in Franklin, Louisiana. And it wasn't his money. He wouldn't spend it. But he organized teachers. He organized the trade unions, the Knights of the Pythians, and the Masons. And they had separate burial societies. And he was managing that money, and he used that to help the governor do right. And that was, well, when I was elected to Congress, I went to New York, and Gardner Taylor said, "Your name is Young. You from Louisiana?" He said, "You ain't akin to old man Frank Young." I said, "Yeah, that was my grandfather." He said, "Well, he would sure be proud of you, but you got a long way to go to catch up with him." Because I was the first black congressman in over 100 years, but he said, "You got a long way to go to catch up with your grandfather."
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's something in my genes and my blood,
Yeah.
and I don't know how it got there, but there's a long line of people who feel like the importance of life is to do something good for others.
Yeah.
And that's all I've tried to do. And but it's not only doing something good, it's do the best you can.
Yeah.
I never set out to save the world. I never set out. I mean, when people were talking about running for Congress, I didn't want to run, but nobody else wanted to run. But everybody wanted to run for president, but I didn't think that was right. Mm-hmm. Only because if you run for Congress and you can't get elected in your own state, mm-hmm. say, you shouldn't try to be president. Mm-hmm. And Obama got elected in his own state.
Yes.
But none of the other black folk that have been trying, or white folk,
Yeah.
Who have run for president have been able to win a state.
A state election, yes. Mm-hmm. That makes a difference. Well, Ambassador Young, I want to say that thank you. Thank you not for this podcast, but for the life that you live and the impact that you've had and the freedoms that you have helped usher in for all of us, and for me particularly, to be able to sit as a chancellor of a university, a predominantly white university at that, and to lead so many students. I'm inspired by what you do and what you have done and continue to do. So thank you.
You know, I
very much.
got an honorary degree from University of South Carolina.
You did?
Yeah.
One of those 100 degrees, right?
Well, yeah, but it was, and I don't even remember when it was, but I didn't know I was invited up there to do the commencement one summer, mm-hmm. and the guy who was at Georgia State here went up to be president.
Okay.
And it happened so quick, and I think it must have been that somebody canceled on him, mm-hmm. because I got a call not long, and he said he'd like to send the school plane down and pick me up, and he'd get me back the next day if I could come up and do the commencement.
Oh wow!
So it was a rush job.
Still the same, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Below the Line podcast with Chancellor Bennie Harris. I'm here with Ambassador Andrew Young. Thank you, Ambassador Young, so much for your time.
Well, my pleasure.
The Below the Line podcast is brought to you by the University of South Carolina Upstate. Look for our monthly write-up in Greenville Business Magazine, and for more information, go to uscupstate.edu.